I think the President Biden has been very plain that he does not intend to introduce U.S. forces into a war with Russia. That's not his intent. So in terms of, family members in the area who would wonder, obviously, as the world becomes dangerous about deployments, you might see deployments into the broader area to provide assurance to NATO allies. But Ukraine is not a member of NATO. There's not a collective defense obligation for us to use U.S. military service to protect Ukraine. So you would not see U.S. troops in direct theaters of battle. You could see some deployments to shore up NATO allies. Give them assurance. That would be possible. Look, I think the other economic impact that you might see from a war would be effect on energy prices. Russia is a major supplier of oil and gas to much of Europe. A lot of those supplies would be disrupted, not just to Ukraine, but to other countries as well in the event of war. And as we know all too well from our experience in COVID, when supply chains get disrupted anywhere in the world, it tends to push prices up. So those would probably be the two most pressing effects that you might see of a war. Possibility of increased deployments, not into battle, but into providing assurance to NATO allies, and some effect on energy prices. In the Senate, I'm not talking about on the House side, but in the Senate, Democrats wanted to do a robust sanctions package that would only get triggered and go into effect if Putin were to invade Ukraine. Republicans wanted to do a package that imposed sanctions right now. The sanctions that we want to impose are basically the same. The question is, what should trigger the imposition of sanctions? So I don't think Putin and Russians, they know we're ready to impose sanctions. Certainly upon invasion, we're ready to do it, and we would. And I think they completely get that. That difference is an important difference, but it doesn't show that we can't agree on what the sanctions package would look like, or we can't agree on what would be bad Russian behavior. We agree on those things. And there will be a sanctions bill should there be an invasion. The one other thing I'll say about sanctions is my experience in working on these issues for 9 years with different countries, Venezuela and Iran, Russia, and others, is sanctions can be effective. Sanctions can also be a provocation. And so sometimes if you impose sanctions too soon, the other nation may say, well, okay, well, I'm already suffering the economic effects. I guess I should just go ahead and do this. And the fact that Putin knows generally the kinds of sanctions we're considering, that not only is President Biden committed to it, but our European allies are committed to joining us, it makes the sanctions regime much, much more effective if other nations join in together. He knows these sanctions will get passed and will hit him very hard should he invade. I would rather we had reached an agreement, but I don't think Putin or the Russians are in any doubt about what's going to happen should they invade.